Listen, we got an amazing guest here today with us. Lisa Ann, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you coming in, talking about our editor crashing into a fire hydrant that wasn't even possible to hit.
It's amazing.
And we appreciate you coming on. Thank you for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I was ready to reach out to all of you. Actually, I just made some fresh coffee. I'm not quite as exciting as you are. Coffee. Well, so I was excited to come on too. I do listen. You're all just great storytellers and so entertaining. And I think during this unusual year, people are listening more and falling into, stories. And it's a great escape. There's moments where you're just like, blah, and then you can listen to something and start laughing.
That's so true. Like our listeners are always telling us like, hey, thank you for, making my day, putting a smile on our face with your crazy lives. And that's like the best part,
Well,
absolutely.
One day we'll get paid for this and that'll be great too.
Yeah.
But
whatever.
One day.
Well, someday the money will start turning in, right? I mean, after the
success. Yeah. That's what I keep telling myself.
Yeah, well, we got so cocky after talking Shop-A-Mania 1, like then we thought our budget for talking Shop-A-Mania 2 was
$19 million,
$50,000, yeah. So we're just throwing money on. Next thing we know, our talking shop PayPal's in the negative. And we're going, hold on.
I didn't even know you could get a PayPal in the negative. I didn't know you could do that.
Maybe we're not as popular as we thought we were.
Well, if you're like Drugs Delaney and you're a degenerate on Sunday morning, crack a beer, take off your pants. You're listening to Talking Shop. This is a huge episode. We got Lisa Ann. She is a joint member on one of our other very exciting projects. Follow it at The Real Gimmicks. We're animated guys. How do we feel about that? I think it's awesome.
For me, it's like the greatest thing ever because I can still use my voice, but I will never age. I get to be this like sexy yogi. I don't mind that I live in a trailer park. I like my surroundings. You're all great neighbors, right? So like, what more do I really want? Again, we're all striving for money, not making much, but I'm happy. And I think that she could carry on for a very long time and be uber sexy where I can just let myself go.
That's a great point. I think we should try to stay animated for the rest of time. Can we wrestle in animation so we don't actually have to physically endure the pain anymore?
That's what we got to figure out. I want either that or be like a hologram, like a Tupac hologram.
Yeah, there you go.
Could we be holograms charging $20 for photos at events? Like, and it lands in our PayPal all night. We're just getting dings.
Get me to come on as a hologram. I don't even want to leave the house.
Well, that's a gallows thing too, anyway, because I've probably told this before, but we were really drunk in Japan one time at dinner, and he looked at me and he looked me up and down, and I'm thinking like, why is he looking at me like this? And he goes, you know what, man? It's just you're starting to get those crow's feet around your eyes, man. We got to get Botox before next tour. I said, Jesus Christ, I'm not doing that yet. I mean, this was 6 years ago. I was 29 or whatever.
I love that you said it because you're drunk in Japan really adds a layer to the story that I love. But it's truth serum, man. He was being real with you. Like, wasn't trying to be hurtful. He was just like, something you got to do.
I mean, it's true that my wife makes fun of me constantly because I'm putting on all these eye creams that she doesn't even have. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I got to be on TV. I can't look 100." And then you go tanning and you can see all the lines.
Do you use those little pads that sit on your eyes for like a little bit of time while you're having breakfast? They're great. You should.
I'm not there yet, but if you can tell me more about that off the air, I'd really love that. You'll see me on the next podcast with cucumbers over my eyes, so I can't see the Zoom meeting.
You got to be careful. That'll be Gallows' next business venture. We'll all be wearing them.
Oh, hell yeah, we will.
Lisa, for our fans that might not be familiar with you, man, do you just mind giving us a rundown on just everything you're doing, what you're doing, where you?
I would not Google me if there are other people around you, if you are at work or if your family is nearby. But a Google search will send you to the delights of sexual escapades that I was able to kind of cash in and make a living off of.
Hell
And I can tell you, one of the funniest things to me was when you're like on set and it's like you guys, you're in that zone with work, you're around people you love being around, you're telling jokes, you're giving each other a hard time. And during the scene, I would say to myself, I cannot believe that I legit get paid for this. Like, and this is legal. Like, and I was not in my mind. So that was a big part of my experimental youth. And now I've completely moved into using my voice. So I work with fantasy sports radio on Sirius XM, doing fantasy football, baseball, basketball, and I love it. It's a great outlet. I have a podcast.
Amazing.
Now I'm just kind of really in this phase of just want to be creating, right? I miss traveling. I miss doing events. I miss all of that, but I want to really create, and I want to open the voice for the talent in my industry, because I really think there's a downside. Why can't we have this fun and then go and have a second career doing a job? A lot of the men and women that come out of this business end up being incredible business people because they have to survive or to be successful. So, I kind of want to be out there just sharing myself and going like, there is nothing wrong with what I did that Tuesday. But right now I'm doing something else, so it's been a good life, a lot of adventure.
I love that. Big lessons and motivation through that too. I think we spin off of that kind of the same way. So that's awesome to hear. How do the Talking Shop listeners listen to your podcast?
Sirius XM, Pandora, Apple Podcasts. So it's the Lisa Ann Experience, and I have a range of guests from, friends, motivational speakers. I got to. And then, my girlfriend's in the business, kind of showing a different side of them. There's just so many great, you only know about the scene, and I kind of share the in between, right?
How do you go? So when you decide that you're going to retire from your first business and you go into what you're going, you have a popular show now. Like to go from this to that, like where was the mentality? Why did you do it?
It was great. I was inspired by Christy Canyon, who I'm not sure if you guys remember her. You might be too young. She was a very popular porn star in the late 80s, early 90s. She's had a show on Vivid Radio for years. Like Playboy owned that for a while, and now it's Vivid Radio on Sirius XM. And so I started doing a show out there on that channel, which was called Stripper Town. It was Monday nights. All the guys would call in and tell us that happened to them at strip clubs.
I feel like I heard that. I remember
great.
All I
sounds like
a
fun show.
Did you get puked on? Did a bouncer beat you up? Did you get ripped off? Like it was the phone lines were crazy, but it was Monday night during football season.
Hell yeah.
My fans would call in and update me on the game. And so, after maybe 3-4 years of doing this, I kept kind of getting written up by my producer, like she's talking sports, she's not staying on topic, that kind of thing. So here I am, like falling out of the graces, and my producer's boss came to me and said, "Hey, there's an opportunity for you to talk fantasy football on Sirius XM. They had a all-female show that just broke up. Let me introduce you to the producer, Matt Deutsch, and go out and see." And I didn't know fantasy sports at all, but I knew sports. So, and I also knew dummy friends that play fantasy sports. I was like, they can do it.
Hell yeah.
So that was 2013. I went right to New York. I got myself a little studio apartment in New York so I could be close to the bosses at Sirius and let them know, because I understand there's an image that comes with my previous career, and I wanted to prove myself as being hardworking and loyal and on time and focused. So that really built the bridge, and now I get to work on other shows on the channel. When the guys from the Morning Men are out on Mad Dog Sports Radio for vacation, I get to replace them, which is a great morning show. So I just love it. I love talking, and I love being on air.
That's great.
Lisa, I got a really, really serious question. So in New York City, did you ever run into a psycho?
I know where you're headed with this.
And Gallows, just ask her if she ever ran into this guy.
Have you ever heard of a long-haired fellow with beautiful chesticles that goes by the handle Balls Deep Billy?
Oh my God, no. If I did, I blacked it out. Does he hang out outside of the Sirius building? Is he just a stalker?
Lisa, he's hanging out in this room right now. It's the alias of one Emilio Sparks, Balls Deep Billy. This pandemic has taken him down a Tinder rabbit hole.
Oh my God, Emilio, I'm so proud of you. Just be sure you're in production, but I'm so proud of you. Just get out there. You've never been that guy. You've always been a relationship guy.
He's that guy now, Lisa.
Right, brah. Just wrap that tool,
Yeah, you know what? Just swipe right, sort them out later, which brings me, this is a historic podcast. We're coming off the heels of an amazing Bound for Glory event last night. Impact Wrestling delivered on pay-per-view as always. But now we're shifting gears. We're getting ready. Talking Shop-A-Mania 2, November 13th on Worldwide Pay-Per-View, live via the Fight app on iPay-Per-View. But with that, we made an announcement during our Full Keg special last week. We are going to do the first ever Talking Shop-A-Mania live in Baltimore, Maryland at Jimmy's Famous Seafood. Love to have Lisa Ann there. But this is an exclusive announcement, guys. We're going to run a contest. And what you're going to get out of this contest is a free admission to our show.
Yep.
And female fans in this contest.
It's only female fan. Well,
this is an opportunity.
Yes, it's only female fans.
It's equal opportunity,
Can we
stay out of
do
this.
that? Will some group come after us?
Yes.
I think we should leave it open for everybody.
I think it's open for everybody, and you have to submit with a photo why you should be balls deep Billy's Tinder date at the first ever Talking Shop-A-Mania Live.
That's cool.
Dinner on us. Free admission. You're going to be sitting up front in front of everybody, in front of the front row. You're going to be eating dinner with balls deep as we do a live podcast with appearances from Chad Too Bad, Chico El Luchador, us as our true selves, many guests. Hopefully Lisa Ann's not busy. And you can be balls deep Billy's Tinder date. We need some tweets. We need the reason why. We're going to pick a winner, the podcast before the November 22nd live show. I can't wait to see who balls deep has on his arm.
What's the hashtag?
Emilio, my plan was to have you be the host of ceremonies. Gallows got you.
Right.
No.
Just our first live show, and I should just make sure that all the behind-the-scenes stuff is taken care of.
All that, it'll work itself out.
Don't worry, we got Jimmy Seafood for that, brother.
We're gonna have
to think of a hashtag.
It's fine.
We got to think of a hashtag.
How did balls deep come up? Because I mean, it's
Baltimore.
one to know that he's getting tons of ass right now, which I'm a pro.
Well,
this is great.
It's great. No, his promiscuity is he goes all the way. He goes full length. He goes balls deep. That's why we thought balls deep Billy's a perfect name for him.
Well, when we first started,
it is a really good name.
We started, obviously he became our editor, and we started calling him Emilio Estevez of Young Guns fame. And then Gallows was drunk one night and called him Emilio Estevez of Young Buns fame.
So it kind of went from there.
Then we started figuring out. Then we started figuring out his prowesses and how he lives and his Tinder.
Once we realized that he's a full-blown now during a pandemic, he needed a new name, and what's better than balls deep Billy, right?
It is a pretty great name, right?
I want Lisa Ann's take on this. Lisa Ann, if you didn't know balls deep Billy, if you weren't this highly regarded celebrity, and you're trying to win this Tinder date to the first ever Talking Shop-A-Mania Live November 22nd in Baltimore, what's your play? How are you getting in?
I would play to the audience, everyone included. I would let him know, of course, how much I celebrate him and want to be there one-on-one for him. But just what he puts together behind the scenes, you got to really build this man up. You want him to feel his best and I would submit a video, a talking video.
I didn't even think of that.
Set it up,
visual
sit
content.
down. Let's have a little conversation here.
I get to know you.
It need to be more than a minute, you know what I mean? But just detailed and kind and passionate. And I would say a sexy top would probably be a good idea. A bright color. Right? A little cleavage never hurt anybody.
Yeah. What are you looking for, balls deep, on this? I mean, I have to.
No. This has nothing to do with balls deep. This is
for you. This is for Carl Anderson, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, in my mind,
for the content of the
in my mind, the girl trying to win the date with Emilio is just trying to get to me. You know what I mean? That's how I think.
We didn't lay out the parameters. We didn't say that balls deep Billy gets to pick the winner. We get to pick the winner for balls deep Billy. That's why this is good for everybody.
Well, I think to keep it at least fair, I think maybe if we can talk Lisa into it, she could probably pick the winner, because I think we'll pick I don't think we'll go the right
route. Yeah, I don't trust you guys. I trust
Lisa. To pick the winner.
I'll pick the winner.
I'm with it.
I'll pick the winner to protect my friend and to make sure if he gets any, it's good. You know what I'm saying?
I want this to go well for him, but I'm also looking for the live event element here. So if it goes off the rails, I'm okay with that too.
The hashtag is balls deep in Baltimore.
Wow,
so just use the hashtag balls deep in Baltimore.
BDB.
And submit your video. You heard it from Lisa Ann. Wear a sexy top.
Please.
Put the man over.
Oh, this is going to be
good. He works hard on this podcast.
Can I interject and say I find it odd that he is finally on his sexual walkabout during a pandemic? Has anyone discussed this?
Well, we did think it was odd timing for him. Let's go into that.
Testing, let's talk about it.
Let's go deep into this.
Okay, so before the pandemic, you guys know I was working for New York. Lisa, I was co-workers with them previously.
Yeah.
I didn't know them, but we were just on two different shows. I was in a relationship. It was over. She ripped my heart out. So I was like, all right, let me get on the Tinder. Let me get on the Bumble. Well, she couldn't take the road. So I started doing that. And then I got into it. And I'm meeting girls on the road. And I'm just hanging out and then having them back to the hotel. And they're like, hey, I'll stay over. And I'm like, all right, great.
Emilio thinks he's Johnny Cash.
I was. It wasn't a lot, but it was a few.
Up and down the highways and byways of America, just during a sexual
The
frolic.
ring of Emilio.
Podcast and fall down.
I love this. This is going to be our spin-off podcast, Tales from Balls Deep.
And so I would just be like, hey, you want to stay? I got to catch a flight, but the room's already paid for. You're good.
Oh, I could throw their asses out. Yo, you could
just
damage
check out. Just check
What a
out.
gentleman. Doesn't even care about that.
Yeah. With some girl that came home with you from a bar last minute, yo, she's charging. Said, you don't be a fool.
No, but guess what though? No, but
think about your security deposit.
No, but you're forgetting one thing. It wasn't on me. It was on New York, so I was good. I was out.
Yeah, but it could get you in trouble with work.
That's
you know
true,
what I'm saying?
right?
I'm not there no more.
Trust no one that way.
I'm not there no more.
Look at the.
And you were never registered, so you can't get another cake.
Oh
okay?
man!
Look at the player in Lisa going. Get that out of my room.
Get him out.
You know you're done with her
Out of
anyway.
here,
Why
Go to the airport. Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, Lisa, how do you know Emilio? How did this relationship come about?
From Sirius XM, Shade 45 is how it started, right?
Yeah,
Years ago.
I was at Sirius for like a decade.
Now, when you met him, this young up and comer, did you think one day that he would have such a moniker as Balls Deep Billy, the King of New York?
I always knew him to be incredibly hardworking and dedicated, but always in a relationship. He was never the guy that, you know, we'd share some random stories about something he hooked up with in the greenhouse bathroom at the club. You know what I mean? That wasn't our combo. You know what I mean? But I knew he'd be somewhere because he's a hard worker. And loves
he's a man. He's a hard worker here on the podcast for us. We appreciate him all the time, and I appreciate the hard work he's putting in between the sheets in New York City during this pandemic.
And you're keeping condoms going. A lot of people, aren't out frolicking, so somebody's got to sell those things. We don't want them to expire inside the store. You do check the dates; they do expire.
I do. Trust me, I do. I'm good on that.
I just saw me and my family went to a brunch last week or something, and my baby was running through the parking lot. And like I saw a condom on the ground in the parking lot, and I was like, "What the?" And then me, being me, like looked at it a little closer, and I go, "That thing is."
Were there holes poked in it?
That thing was filled up. It was a filled up used condom.
Like, well, I mean, what do you think? North Pole condom.
Then I looked to the left. And I saw
a Northworthy load.
Well, I saw a Magnum wrapper, and I go, man, lucky motherfucker. And like all these things that were going through my head.
This guy's really bringing the heat.
Because I mean, like, I'm married with 4 kids. Like, we're not I'm not being attacked, Like,
you don't have to leave condoms that are full in parking lots.
No, right. I was jealous of the random guy in the parking lot that left his thing sitting there.
I understand. You're jealous of just the
Balls Deep. Were you in Tampa recently?
Lisa, this went really off the rails. I swear that we don't always talk like this. Lisa,
I love it. Are you
where
kidding?
Where are you located?
Kind of do.
So I moved to New York City last December full time. For a long time, I went back and forth. Then I went back to LA, and then between the fires, a massive earthquake, and just the way things are really changing in LA, I was like, you know what? It's time. But I had to go through this whole minimalism project of minimizing my life by 75%. So I wasn't going to get a storage. So it took me about a good solid year to 2 years to really just slowly get rid of it. Now I move light. I live in the city. I love it. It's been an unusual time since everything was closed here for so long, but I've taken advantage. Like, I go out on the city bike, and there were times you could ride in the middle of the street. There was not a car to be found in Manhattan. So I just took advantage of it.
There was an amazing photo that I saw on Instagram where like 2 guys were moving from one side of the street to the other, and it was during the pandemic and all the streets were closed. So they just they were moving their couch, and then they realized, oh, this is a great photo op. Wow. And they just started having this crazy photo op and video op where they're just hanging out. They're just basically having like drinks and like tea and stuff. Like just hanging out in the middle of the street. It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Lisa, are you single, married, or in a relationship now? If you mind talking about it.
I don't mind talking about it. I've been seeing the same guy for about 11 years. He's always been like my number one, but I've always had like a nice stable so that, wherever I was satisfied. You can only, suffer so much.
Yep.
But then the pandemic hit, and then he went down south to stay with his mom, take care of her. And we didn't see each other for probably about 6 months. And we just met up 2 weekends ago in LA. We tested each other, by the way, for COVID. We tested each other before.
Good for you.
No, I don't play.
Good.
I've been testing once a week. I'm not.
Me too.
I just want to know, and I just want people to stop. Like, I just want to be able to go places, be like, I'm testing.
I'm good.
Okay?
Right.
Yeah.
Stop. Okay.
It's almost like like I'm good, but are you? Do you sure you're good? Like I always
is Balls Deep running temp checks at midnight when he's sneaking these ladies into the
I have a
apartment?
temp gun at my place. Do you have a temp gun? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Balls Deep, are you?
Balls Deep shook his head no. He doesn't give one single solitary. All he cares about is getting balls deep.
I just got a COVID test anyway when we shot Talking Shop-A-Mania too. I'm fine.
I'm talking about your cohorts, your co-minglers, your Tinderellas, so to speak.
That's a risk that I'm willing to take.
Great. By the way, that's brilliant. Tinderellas. Oh.
Yeah. Well, also, hey, let's also have people send if you don't have a Twitter for some reason or whatever. So it's hashtag Balls Deep in Baltimore.
Yes.
Or email us at talkingshoppod@gmail.com.
Yep.
Is that right, guys?
I don't care if you snail mail it. I want to review every submission for this.
We could also change Balls Deep's profile name on his accounts, and then we could have them fly in there left and right.
Oh, now we're talking. So, are you ready and willing to let us take over your Tinder?
Yes.
Screen mirroring every time we're on a Zoom meeting with
do
Balls
it for the
Deep's
content,
Tinder
man.
account. Do it for the content, brother.
It would be good. Maybe after we get off this, we can talk to Lisa about maybe she could pick the winner and like be in Baltimore if she's busy. If she's not busy, we can talk to her about that though.
I think it's.
And I would also like to have an event where we set up a Tinder for me, and then we all just answer these randos who jump on right away because they're the one. I mean, you should see my Facebook Lives. I do these Facebook Lives once a week, talking sports, right? So at first, the room is packed, right? And it's all the weirdos. Like, do this, bend over, show me your feet. I want to marry you. I love you. Some of them you can't understand.
Spit on me.
So what I do to get them out of the room is I just read the entire NFL schedule from the Thursday night game to the Monday night game. I read everything about it. I'm like, okay, where they're playing, any weather issues, right? And the room just clears. I've never been able to clear a room so well. Then once it gets down like 100 people, then I'm like, okay, let's talk about the games. And then we have
football.
Yo, I get weirdos in Facebook, Instagram. Like, people are.
You know what's really funny is my wife when we started doing the project, and I told her, oh yeah, Lisa Ann's going to be joining the team, and we're all excited, and she started following you on IG. And she said, hey, I was just curious, but I started following Lisa, and I started getting like all these like crazy people like following and leaving messages. And she was like, there was a guy who sent me like a pic or something. I was like, what the She goes, you didn't get anything when you started following Lisa? I go, no. And then she's like, you should check your other folder. So I checked like that other folder, that. And it was like, yo, what's up, Rocky? Let me get a picture of you. It was like right off the bat. That was like the first message. I was like, what? I was like, that's cool.
We got to really, that's a great
Nobody ever asked me that for that before. I felt really good about myself.
Balls Deep's famous now, and he's entering this world. So like when you look at that, like his DMs are going to get crazy, but like Balls Deep, you don't have an 8x10 or a poster. Like you need some merchandise, but like what does a Balls Deep 8x10 look like? Is it your balls? Is it your ass? Is it your face? Is it a collage? What is it?
Is it a collage?
Eventually, I have to get some sort of real job. If so, no, it won't be my balls and my ass. But
this is a real job, sort of.
Well, after your
you do have to bring 8x10s to this.
After your worldwide pay-per-view debut on November 13th, you'll be even more over.
Oh God, it's gonna be amazing.
I think the photo is like him, and it's a real creepy looking photo. It's a hallway of a hotel. He's holding the door open and standing there. The girl's walking by, and she's walking in. It's just like her backside. Like I think that's it.
Right, but I'm not a creep though. That's like
no, you're not a creep. You're not a creep. You're just promiscuous, and that's fine. You're a single man. You should be enjoying yourself. I'm saying for the good of the content and the hilarity of this podcast, we need some kind of a graphic. Anybody out there? We get great graphics from our Twitter followers all the time. I would love to see somebody let's get a Balls Deep Billy,
like the door opening and like beautiful woman is walking in or something.
One's walking in, one's walking out because there's so much cross traffic. Because
like hologram in
and different profiles. One's wearing Tinder, one's wearing the other kind of app that he's on, right?
Yeah, Bumble.
He's got a Bumble and a Tinder. Yeah, I love it.
I also got a coffee meets bagel. Yeah.
What is that?
Coffee Meets Bagel is just another app. It's like a New York based. Yeah, it's like a New York based dating app for like professionals or something. I don't know. I'm on it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'd love to go to farmers only because I'd love to have a lot of space, and it would just be easier to meet a guy that has like 50 acres to be like, I'm going to build my old crib over here.
Yeah.
You see there, we'll get together on the weekends.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think that's the whole world would be better if relationships were that way.
That's the beauty of living in the country.
Live together.
That's the beauty of living in the country, unless there's a fire hydrant across the street from your house. But this is not about ragging on you. What I'm saying is, if we could get you animated at the Real Gimmicks, I think that your animated self has to have huge nuts.
Just carrying them in a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, of course. It's animation.
Yes.
Yes. Over my shoulder.
You're just always ready to fill somebody up.
Jesus Christ.
The used condom can be on the ground often around his trailer.
Yes. Yeah. You have to walk through them to get up to his little porch of his trailer.
He throws them out the window.
And just the sound.
Just flicks them out.
I love it.
Lisa, do you have a Tinder?
No. So I'm
Have you ever had one?
Dating profiles, right? Of course.
Yeah. Sure.
I do think it would be funny. I know there's a lot of fake ones. Like today I was on Facebook.
Of course.
Guys like, hey, Lisa, it was so great texting with you the other night. And I was like, oh,
What?
buddy, I bet you sent that girl money in her PayPal. He's like, she wanted a gift card. I'm like, iTunes, Walmart, or Target. Like, what did she want? So like,
what did Bob want?
So
no, I don't have one, but it's also not that hard, believe it or not, for me to get men. You know what I mean?
I have a confession because the boys here know this one. But so when we made the animation came out, blah blah blah, and they said Lisa Ann was being involved, and I saw your podcast, and I was like, look, she must be like a really famous. She has a hell of a fantasy football thing going on. Like, I am a fan of your first career, right? I like it. Obviously,
sure. You're a man.
It's healthy.
But
good content. Usually great acting.
I brought up Lisa Ann to everybody. Everybody looks at me like I'm crazy. I was the only one that didn't know you.
Like, how the do you not know who Lisa Ann is, bro?
I was the only. I don't know. I just maybe I just
adult film star of all time.
I know. But
I always think people say that to me, and I think maybe he was in prison.
I don't know. I think I just for some reason
I might not be your type. I'll have to scope out your situation. I'll know right away I was not your type.
I think usually it would. Yeah, I have a hot Asian wife, and that's kind of where I stuck it. So that might have been the way that for some reason I missed. And I was like,
the internet, you don't click on my category. You're clicking on hot Asian.
Yeah,
I'm not flying in there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not landing in there.
But my first thought was like, man, this is I never heard of this fantasy football person. This is great. Like, how do we get into this? And like,
what a hell of a following this fantasy football extraordinaire has.
It's so popular. Everybody masturbates. It's that simple. It's like crying. Okay.
Are you good at fantasy football now, or do you understand?
I'm good.
I'm
in 15 leagues. Right.
Holy
season I do.
Like a job.
It is a job, but here's how it works. Thursday mornings, I'm up for my show 7 to 10 a.m. And then afterwards, I have some fresh news and I start to really tinker with lineups because, of course, you do waiver wires on Tuesday. And then throughout the weekend, my whole tone is really sports. Saturday, I'll be covering UFC for Bovada. So I'll kind of stay in that mindset. Tuesday, I listen to music and no sports news. Like, the NFL could blow up on a Tuesday and I would refuse to know about it because I just need to give my brain a break. It is tough. This has been an unusual season with players being put on the COVID list and you don't know till like the day before if they're going to have a false positive, as the NFL keeps saying. They're all false positives, which I find very unusual. I mean, are there false negatives too, right? Just saying. So yeah, I mean, I love doing it. I love doing fantasy basketball too, because I watch a lot of basketball. It's a long season, but I really love to follow players. I don't even have a team that I really follow in the NBA. I just follow players. So if there's a game, I look to set a lineup and then I'm like, oh, great, this game's on tonight. I'll be watching this one. So sports are just my passion. And also, like, until now, sports have been a very neutral place where you never had to get world news, right? You never had to hear politics, and you never heard it. The lines never crossed. It's different now, which is great because we're all more aware. But sports was always the great escape when I didn't want to be sucked into what I consider to be people feeding their minds with things that they don't value. Like, like the Housewives series. Do we really need to promote women being this way to each other and having this wealthy husband that they don't contribute to? Is this really how we want to be promoting America? So, sports has just been an outlet where I've always felt comfortable watching, and I love watching anything from horse racing to golf to football, basketball, baseball, everything. And UFC, which I finally got used to them saying there's leaking. Like at first I cringed because the blood is just pouring out when there's leaking. You know what I mean? It's just, it's gushing out of somewhere. He said it's leaking, and I would just,
Lisa.
Wait a while.
Lisa, I thought you said gleeking, and there's a person in this room that also has a really bad gleeking problem. Our little Puerto Rican friend Rocky.
Bring it up to every guest that we ever had on this podcast.
He's a serial gleeker, Lisa. Not to cut you off, but he really is.
Explain to me what a gleeker is.
Well,
please, Rock.
When you're yawning, well, like for the first time I saw it, right? Like he was yawning, and I saw him yawning, and as he closed, this spray of spit like from a llama.
Some kind of bland thing happens.
He is like a little mini llama, isn't he?
I said, "Damn, dog!" You just leaked across the room. He's like, "Yeah, I know, man." And that was like that was 14 years ago, right? Then I thought it was just a one-off. Boy, it wasn't.
Yeah.
You get a good yawn from this brother.
He's been gleeking his ass off ever since.
Yeah, we've been calling him a llama for a while. He's like, he might have been.
It's quite embarrassing.
He's actually a miniature llama.
Every single person that comes
on. Is it a real
podcast.
word, gleeking? I've never heard of it before. Is that what it's actually called?
Yeah.
Yeah, look it up. I
think there's there might be another way to say it too.
Every day's a school day, guys.
I would consider.
So when he yawns, does everybody kind of turn their back or move away now because you know?
Well, we have face shields for when we're hanging out in person, like non-pandemic.
Before the pandemic.
Yeah. It's like the thing we did in the Real Gimmicks where I had the face shield. It's an idea that I use in real life when I hang out with Rock.
Yeah. I, by the way, love wearing face masks because nobody recognizes me.
It's great. Yeah.
I would like my whole face covered when I walk outside forever, not over germs, but just over being able to walk around without people asking me for.
Yeah. And I bet you have a constant flow of weirdos who approach you and don't feel intimidated at all to just walk up and say whatever the hell they want, right?
Oh, not at all. I will have the debate in broad daylight of why I won't let them pay me for sex. Well, you got paid to have sex on in movies. Why won't you get paid to have sex with me? I'm like, it's a totally
What are you talking about?
I mean, there's people there. We're all tested. It's a safe environment. It's actually a gig that I could pay taxes on. It's not with you. You're like, I have to go do this.
Because I'm sure they would just be ready to go and perform just so.
Oh yeah.
Drop the hat. That's all she does. Go to all day. I had a guy. I wanted a photo from me at an airport, and he's like, "You'll suck for a living, but you won't give me a photo." I was like, "Oh my god,
Jesus!"
Well, I was really, but yeah, it's bizarre, and so the masks are helpful. Yeah, people just have no filter, and also, you got to figure this relationship they built with me, right? And they see me only this one way. They don't know any other existence to me, so I try to do my best with making sense of it and have fun with it. When I do live shows, there's like the fools. They're like, "Hey, come to Chicago. We'll go out." And I'm like, "You entitled mother." You think if I came to Chicago, it would be about you?
I'm going to call you.
Right. Of course.
Landon soon, Joey. What are you up to tonight?
I fend it off and try to have as much fun with it as I can. But people are just really forward, and they just don't realize, why would you want to show me what's in your pants when you know what I've seen? I've seen Mandingo, okay? All glossy and big, fits its body. I have photos in front of my face.
Glossy and magnificent.
In all its glory.
You want to show me that? Are you kidding me right now? Why would you do this to yourself?
And if you're listening to this, that's what you're going to get when Balls Deep unleashes. And that's why this contest is so important. November 22nd, it's a Sunday evening. You're not going to be doing anything anyway. So you might as well get free admission to Talking Shop Live Baltimore.
Free.
A free dinner on us with the one and only Tinder King of New York.
Hold on,
The
free
Tinder
dinner?
King, not the
free
Tiger
dinner?
King, the Tinder
Yeah,
King.
did we say we were doing free dinner?
Free
I will
admission?
pay for the dinner. I will pay for
Gallows
the
is
dinner.
paying for
Gallows
the
will
dinner.
pay for
Because
the
I
dinner.
need this contest to become a thing at every Talking Shop Live.
I love that you guys are negotiating.
This is
with
your
me
big
right there.
opportunity.
So
Get
can
your
Emilio,
submissions in and
can
become.
Emilio,
Go
can
ahead.
Emilio come out, like kind of hype the crowd up a little bit, and then say,
Right.
"Well, guys, I've been forced to go on this date. I'm going to sit down at my table," and then the date can come in, and they sit there, and then they watch the whole show, right?
I
That's seg
feel like
one.
maybe the
Yeah,
reveal
segment one.
has to happen at the live pod. I feel like Emilio doesn't know who's won the date yet. He goes and takes the seat. Maybe they deliver the dinner. Then we bring the date out for the first time. It's a blind date for him, but we get to set this up behind the scenes because you're ballsy, Billy. You can play on the fly. You can react to anything. It's your forte. You basically talk for a living and
Watch,
manage
he gets
people
in a
who do.
relationship with this girl, and we don't get the Tinder stories anymore. My biggest fear.
That
Biggest
would be
fear is he falls in love again. We don't need that, guys. Enough of
would
us
be
have
the
the
worst.
We're good
opinion.
right
What if we
now.
just shoot
We're
ourselves
good.
in the foot with that?
No,
one?
no,
Yeah.
you're good. I assure you of that.
That's
Black
Is there a
hole of
time
despair.
frame on this? Are you waiting until something bad happens, or are you going to do this for like a year, 5 years? Like, what's your timeline?
I have no timeline. I'm just going with the flow of my life.
I
right
want to.
now,
I want to
so.
hear from you in a year and a half, though, because I went on a single run before I met my beautiful wife, and it becomes a second job. Like,
Well, for
It's-
you,
no, but I mean, I'm just talking about talking to people and fucking.
It's
It's-
well,
expensive.
because you got to keep.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Well,
That's
and you're a
true.
baby face, right? Like you're a good guy, so you're just trying to keep.
Well,
everybody
Balls
happy.
Deep's a good guy. He just has a badass name. I mean, who doesn't want to be called Balls Deep, Billy?
But Lisa, you're on the
It's a
air
term
for
of
3
endearment,
hours,
yeah.
3 hours every single day.
No, right now during fantasy football season, just Thursday mornings. Then I do a pregame show at noon, 12:20 on Sundays. So just kind of like all the last minute news as we're setting our lineups for the first game to kick off at 1. But there are times, and I'm a morning person, so it's not a
Yeah.
big deal. But there are times that I have to start at 6. You got to wake up at 3:34 because you got to see what happened in the late games. You got to have your voice awake. But it's kind of cool being done with your workday by like 10 a.m.
Yeah,
Yeah, something
that's
to be said
cool.
for
Like,
that for sure.
it would be. I always wonder what that's interesting. 'Cause, like I watch like for example, Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith and Jim Rome and those guys when they come on and they talk for 3 hours or 4 hours at a time. And man, they got to know. You guys got to know your. You got to watch
Yeah.
every single game, every single person. I'm like, there's got to be a couple days when Romy's just like, nah, man, I just don't want to watch. But he can't. He has.
You can't miss it. And you take notes. I take notes during the
that
games.
makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Wow, it's like I did fantasy football in 2010. I had one child. I have 4 boys now. I had
Can't do it, no.
I had one, and I played fantasy football for 1 season. And I told my brother, don't ever ask me to do that. I just trying to pay attention to it, and that was with one kid.
And it's also emotional. If you're competitive, then you get pissed when you lose. You get really pissed.
Well, yeah. It was just too hard for me to try and concentrate on it. And now I try to follow the Bengals and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that keeps me good.
Why the Bengals?
So I quit college and I moved to Cincinnati to be a wrestler in the year 2000, and then I ended up just living in Cincinnati for a long time, and I fell in love with the Bengals. And as hard as they are to deal with at times, but they had some good years, like when Carson Palmer and Andy Dalton's crazy enough. Andy Dalton took them to the playoffs 4 years in a row, and like if you surround. Right.
Now he's with my Dallas Cowboys, but you got Joe Burrow in Cincy, and I think it's a good look. He's playing well this season.
It is a good look. I'm glad that you guys got Andy Dalton now, though. That's going to be he can drive you crazy. But my only argument to that is if they surrounded Andy Dalton with enough weapons.
I agree. Enough talent
to get to the playoffs 4 years in a row. Something was going right.
So, I agree. But he was one of those, like 2016 fantasy football. He was one of those, like he'd either throw 3 picks or 3 touchdowns. And I played him on the off week of each one. So I kind of hated him. So it was,
I do too.
I wished a lot of bad things on him.
he drove us nuts. Lisa, before we get out of here, please, if you just want to like plug all your what you're up to, everything
you can find all of my stuff at The Real Lisa Ann on Twitter and Instagram. Don't worry, I will ignore your creepy messages. Yes. My book is The Life.
What if the guy's really cute though?
That's somebody else's photo. I never believe the guy that's that cute is being that creepy. He's using his good-looking brother's photo. Like, I don't trust the photo. And also, if you're going to send a penis pic, make it a good one. Don't make it yours. Grab one off the internet. Or retouch.
Don't forget, she saw Mandingo. Is that what the name is?
Yeah, it's so glossy.
Big Val.
Deep dingo.
And be on the lookout because we're going to have some merch coming out pretty soon at The Real Gimmicks. Give them a follow. All our profiles at The Real Gimmicks on Instagram and Twitter. And guys, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be brought into the fact that there's balls deep situation. Like, this made 2020 exciting for me.
It's very exciting. Listeners, get ready.
Plug your book again, though. Sorry, I cut you off before you start plugging.
That's
your
okay.
book.
The Life. It's available on Amazon at the hard copy, and also I recorded my audiobook during quarantine, guys, from my bedroom closet.
Nice.
It was a brutal experience, but it's now available on Amazon.
There's going to be some brothers that want to hear that, though. That's going to really be good.
Hell yeah, that's good stuff. I mean? I'm
well,
so happy that you're on par with us and you're excited about Balls Deep Billy's Tinder date experience, this contest.
And what a good, we call ourselves good brothers, and we meet women that are good sisters. Like, what a good sister you are.
Good sister you are, for sure.
You seem like somebody we'd love to sit and just, smash beers with. And if you don't drink, great. Just drink Diet Coke and watch us.
We'll smash beers.
Smoke weed. I'll just have my weed pen with me.
Good on you.
Don't worry.
Same here.
Big LG will be standing right beside you, passing it back and forth. Guys, for the machine gun, for Balls Deep, for the Big LG, for Hazukar Rock, the Puerto Rican beautiful man, and for our perfect guest, Lisa Ann, thank you all for listening in. We appreciate y'all. We out of here.
Balls Deep.